Did I fart? I farted. Can you smell it?
No.
What is up, Watch Fam? I am Christian, the curator of the Theo and Harris Vintage Watch Shop.
My name is Michael Robert Christie. This video is sponsored by Squarespace.
Today, if you guys don't watch the channel already, Michael and I take a podcast approach to our YouTube videos. We're ultimately going to be talking about our predictions for Rolex's new releases this year.
Pre-predictions. We're going to do a more serious one when it comes like late February, April.
So I think
it's March.
So it's predictions, and it's also going to be not necessarily what do we think is going to come out, but also what should be coming out.
I was reading something, just a comment, and I was like, oh my God. I don't know if this has any merit, but this is the most interesting thing I read about how to predict a Rolex release.
Interesting.
Ever. Seriously.
So that's ultimately where we'll be arriving. We'll talk about a couple things on the way there, a lot of Rolex material, a couple of Patek things, actually. And let's start off with, I'm wearing the right watch for today's conversation. This is my white gold. I had to say that first. This is my
white gold
steel.
Rolex.
Yeah, you know what's funny? So this is my Rolex GMT. I bought this a couple months ago. It's amazing. It is in white gold, Pepsi bezel. My dad has the older steel aluminum bezel.
Steel. His isn't steel.
His isn't steel. His is steel.
It's like lighter.
It's much lighter.
Yeah. You can tell right away.
My dad has a much cooler watch than me. His watch has a much greater story. My watch, is just a heavy thing.
Just white gold.
Just a heavy brick. It's just white gold, which is a precious metal, by the way. Anyway, it was kind of funny. So things in the watch world are changing. We actually released a video about it recently.
Yes, we did.
About the changing culture and what is becoming cool, and it's kind of out with the hype and in with some
low-key, what'd you
70s, 80s, right?
Yeah.
And I said to myself, great, I just bought myself a hype watch. Mother. Thank God everyone's over that.
You're like,
now.
but what is interesting though is since it's white gold, it's a little bit more low-key. I'm like, oh yeah.
No, but I said to myself when we're doing that video, or later on, I'm having a cocktail, and I said, wow, I really did, because I really bought into the yellow gold, like 70s style. It's popular now, but I bought into that a while ago.
Yep.
And I just got this GMT, and I said, did I really need the GMT? What a silly thing, It's out of style now.
After 7 years?
What? Yeah.
Since TNH?
Yeah.
Of you pushing these 70s, 80s yellow gold watches, you're finally like, I'll get them on a GMT.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden everybody else is like, oh my God, those thin, slim gold like dress watches that aren't like Rolex is amazing.
Yeah.
You're like,
Exactly. So anyway, I realized two things about this watch and about Rolex. Number one, it will never go out of style. Rolex doesn't go out of style. Exactly. Even the most ugly Rolexes of all time, don't go out of style.
Give them long enough and people just get obsessed.
Exactly. And this is I think this is a stunning Rolex,
Oh, yeah.
Number one. And number two, I didn't even buy the watch for hype really at all, which sounds silly. But I bought the watch, like my thought process was, I knew I wanted a white gold Rolex. Mm-hmm. I knew I didn't want to date it because my mom has one. Mm-hmm. So I wanted a white gold Oyster, meaning sports model.
Yep.
My options were Smurf or GMT. I said, well, the GMT was a little bit less expensive than the Smurf. It was like...
And Daddy has a GMT.
And Daddy, well, wait. I said the GMT is like, $6,000 less than the Smurf, so it's not apples to apples. There is a slight nuanced difference in pricing here.
Fruit can't
it's nuanced,
be compared. Yes. Yep.
And then I said, okay, I can sell myself on the idea of a GMT because my dad has one. So now the story plus the savings, I'm really in. And then I said, of the GMTs, which color do I get? The blue, the black, or the Meteorite? And my dad has the black. I got the black. So that was the mentality. It was never just about, or really at all about, just the hype. Everyone is affected by hype, but it was never a hype piece. But now I'm just a piece of hype piece.
Now you're that guy.
Yeah, I'm that guy.
Wow. At least it's white gold. Today we were talking about Rolex predictions actually, I need to talk about what inspired me to get this G-Shock.
Is that black gold?
Yeah, this is black gold. It's actually really rare. It's 24 karat black gold. Every once in a while, I just want to wear this watch because I think it's beautiful.
That's really interesting. You see it that way.
I really do. And I think anyone that doesn't see the beauty in G-Shock, and I know you do to a certain degree, has to look a little closer and take a step back from the hype.
Yeah.
Because it's not fancy. No, this doesn't even really go with this outfit, but It's just one of those watches where you're like, it's crazy. It's stupid. It's amazing.
I love the orange NASA one.
Yes. The NASA editions are sick.
The only reason I haven't purchased the NASA one
is price.
Is because they're expensive. $250.
Let's just say it's not white gold.
Yeah, let's just say it's not white gold. Let's just put it that way.
It's one of those things where it's like, you kind of gone full circle. Unless it's your first watch, you have no other watches. But I'm like, I'm flying to Denmark today. I'm like, I'm going to wear my G-Shock. It's awesome. Rolex predictions. I will save my... Because there's some things behind it, but I will save the interesting thing I read till the end.
Okay.
And then you can react to it. I don't know if you'll think it's smart or you'll think it's dumb. It's coin toss with you. But Rolex predictions anyways.
It's a coin toss with you. There's actually no logic behind it.
No logic. People are like, why is
there's no golden thread.
There's not. Do you have any thoughts? And we can jump into what I have right now, or like some jump off points. But do you have any initial thoughts of where Rolex is going to move as a brand? Because I do.
No, I'd like to hear your thoughts.
Nowhere. I think Rolex looks at this little dial where all these other brands try to like really crank it at least a little bit, and Rolex does one little like,
yeah,
and then everybody loses their mind.
Yeah.
And I was also thinking, I was like, well, they didn't really do anything crazy last year. And really, they actually did. They put a crown on the other side of a watch, which is for Rolex. That's insane.
I think that you're right. That was bizarre, totally left field, never predicted.
I think everybody was like,
"What the?" And with a green and black.
Why'd you do that?
What are you doing? I think that the most important things that Rolex does, have nothing to do with the new releases.
Yes.
Rolex's real move is all on the business plan end. It's all on the distribution end. It's all on the experience end.
Yep.
That's the stuff that makes Rolex at this point interesting.
At this point,
because a different color bezel is not. I don't even think they care about it.
No.
I think that they're given slight tweaks on watches, and they're like, I guess you're going to focus on that while we actually do the important stuff behind the. You guys aren't seeing it.
You look at brands. Well, I mean, Rolex, obviously, there's such a massive backlog that I feel like it's kind of like, I really hope they don't discontinue that watch before I get mine.
Yeah.
Like, even Omega, same thing. Like, their Snoopy and their Ed White, people are like, they're going to discontinue it before I get it, and that's the watch I want more than anything.
Yeah.
Like, just don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely agree with. I think that Rolex. It's a good question. Does Rolex consider the client that truly wants, or the list of clients that have been waiting faithfully for multiple years for a watch when they discontinue it, and to what degree do they care? And if they care, is it positive or negative? Like, are they does that person get cred at Rolex for having waited all that long and then getting around?
No.
No. You picked the wrong watch.
I look at it as they have their standard models that will change very minorly, so that way if you want one, rather, not even if you're on the list, you're like, okay, cool, whatever, it's the newest one. But then they'll do little pokes, being like, oh, look, the Explorer's two-tone, but we still have the regular Explorer, but it's two-tone now.
Yeah.
Makes the headlines, people are like, that's weird.
Yep.
And then it stays there.
Yeah. I mean, the big, look at the Rolex boutiques now. I mean, this is some of the most interesting stuff going on. I mean, the Rolex boutiques have become these experiences that are remarkable, and it's slowly happening. It's not every boutique now, but Rolex is
really pushing for this too.
Really pushing to just overhaul every Rolex boutique in the country, probably in the world for that matter, and that's wild. Like, you walk into a Rolex store and it is an entire 10 out of 10 experience. Looks nothing like any other watch boutique.
We are in some forms helping. Around that area, and we're seeing the things I have to go to, the locations and stuff. You're like, this is what your plan is.
It's wild.
It's
wild to see the degree to which they have changed their entire customer journey. From introduction to point of sale, physically is so different now. I got into Rolex going to Tourneau.
Yeah,
you just walk it can never happen again. That will never happen. Well, that's the gears are turning so that will never happen again. You just walk into a big store and there's a big Rolex counter. The Rolex used to be. It is a larger counter, and it is a little bit separate from everybody, but it's still just another counter.
You go to the
Rolex
store section.
It's not that special. Now
it has an entrance at the least
entrance.
At the very least.
It has, I mean, they chose the wood for the walls. Like, it is so uniform. There is nothing that is unpredictable about a Rolex boutique. It is supposed to be just a perfectly tuned machine.
They are just sitting on so much cash that all these other brands, no, I shouldn't say all these other brands, basically every other brand is putting back into the business to develop watches and to like keep things moving.
Right.
They're like, we have so much stuff. Everybody wants the watches that we've made for like a million years.
Yeah.
We're just going to make it even better.
Yeah.
In ways that other brands can't catch up with because we're not even on the watches anymore.
It's wild.
Yeah. But that being said, we obviously have to make some predictions.
Let's go.
I'll let you have this one. Daytona's 60th anniversary is 2023. What do you think? There's the obvious thing and then...
The obvious thing is... what, like a panda?
What I've read, what I've seen, green dial. Or reintroducing the green dial.
And when I said panda, by the way, guys, I'm talking about having the sub dials actually solid color. Currently, it's like panda-esque, but they're not a solid traditional panda like the vintage Daytonas.
Huh. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Green
dial on
green coming
steel?
back. I don't know. 60th anniversary. What do they or not 60th anniversary? What do they always do for anniversary?
Be green. You're right. I mean,
they always pull green.
So what is the move?
Yeah, or is it?
You know what it could be? It could be like so simple as just a slightly modified Daytona, like a Panda Dial or whatever. What instead of red print, they could do green print. Just Daytona in green. I could also see how else would they integrate green into the Daytona line?
Green steel, green gold. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe it gets moldy.
Yeah, maybe it gets moldy.
We're sitting at the Rolex table. Yeah. I'm like,
maybe it smells like your mom's. Like, what the?
Like, why are Christian Michaels so mean?
Yeah, interesting. I don't know.
I don't honestly know either. I just
because the Daytona has never been green, other than the green. I think the green Daytona, other than the modern green, yellow, gold Daytona.
Yeah.
I mean, they had the beach models, and there was a green model there.
The beach model?
No one wanted those, and now they're all the rage. How could Rolex bring green into the Daytona in a way that they haven't already done? Because the way they did it with the green and yellow gold, I think was flawless.
Yeah.
They could do it with white gold, I suppose. I don't think that would really shatter the world, but they could do it. I mean, the only other thing that I could imagine them doing, which would be years ago, Rolex introduced the day dates on exotic straps, colorful straps.
Yep.
Is it possible that Rolex introduces a Daytona like they used to on a exotic strap again?
That is green.
That could be interesting.
And it's in their history, so it's a pullback.
Yeah, that could make sense. Because in the 90s, the 90s and 2000s, all the precious metal Daytonas were offered on leather straps.
Yeah, right.
You know? So, which were beautiful. I've owned them before. You know what's funny? I had those watches. I think my cost was maybe $17,000 on them, $16,000. Now they're like, $28,000, $29,000. I had them for months because they were hard to sell. Yeah, no one wanted a yellow gold Daytona,
Weird.
Yeah, and I loved it, and I was never tempted to keep it. I think that's the other problem with having watches is because it's so easy to just buy and sell them, you miss out on ever having to actually commit. You know what I mean?
It's gone basically when you get it shipped.
Yeah, or it's like, whenever I want to sell it, I could just sell it. So you never really say, I'm gonna take this watch seriously. Because that was a watch I should have taken seriously.
I mean, I take my Zenith pretty seriously because no one's ever gonna buy it and sell it.
I think that's possible for the Daytona. So I am living the kind of the proof of Squarespace.
Yes.
I am an entrepreneur, but I have no tech savvy at all. I also did not have the budget when I started my first company, Theo and Harris, to develop a website, with a developer. I had no choice at the time but to use Squarespace or its competitors.
Yeah.
Truthfully, I actually went with a different company to start off with, and it was an absolute unmitigated disaster, and I got scared. And then I called some people, and they actually told me, why the f*** did you use the competitor? Use Squarespace. That's a true story.
Yeah.
So I used Squarespace, and my entire life just got easier. I said, wow. Within a couple of days, but within a week, I was able to put together this just fantastic website that I not only was able to launch a successful retail business off of, but consistently improve upon over the next it'll be 8 years now, or 8 years now, I
Happy
guess,
birthday.
in February. Yeah, which is remarkable. So I love Squarespace. Now, when I started my second company, our company LMF,
Yes.
we had the budget to spend on a developer, and I still said, well, there's a difference between spending money and wasting money.
Yep.
And I said, I have no hesitation leaning on Squarespace again.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. We chose between all of their themes and customized from there. It's so user friendly, and people that access either Theo and Harris or LMF or any of my websites or any of our websites, it is not only functional, but they are rich and they present super well. Period. They are clean and beautiful. So I am a huge fan of Squarespace. Period. End.
If you are interested in also becoming a huge fan of Squarespace and possibly changing everything in your life like it's happened to you, you can go to squarespace.com/Theo Harris to save 10% off your first order of a website or domain.
I highly suggest you do.
We'll do OP line and then we'll get into two interesting things and end. But OP, I wrote, and this is just to inspire you, Meteorite Dial.
I think it's totally possible.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's totally possible. I think that Rolex is fucking nuts, and it's totally possible.
Meteorite Dial on an OP.
I don't think that Rolex has ever done meteorite or non-precious metal.
Right.
I think that a Meteorite Dial Daytona would be a $50,000. No. Well, so what would the retail be on that watch?
On the OP?
Yes. Because an OP retail is what, like in the sixes? It's a $6,100 watch. Mm-hmm. What is the Meteorite premium?
I have not the slightest clue. 10?
Okay, so the GMT, on the GMT, the Everose versus the white gold,
Yes.
Non-meteorite versus meteorite, the premium is only $2,000. So by that logic, right, the Oyster Perpetual would be an $8,100 watch. I could see them pushing the envelope a little bit further.
Yeah.
But it would be on the secondary market. I think you'd be at 50,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
50,000, yeah. I think it would be one. I think it would be the hottest meteorite dial ever made by Rolex.
Really?
The most hotly
because
desired.
it is now the low key Meteorite Dial.
Yep. I think it would be the most hotly desired
Wow.
meteorite ever. Because even like this white gold Daytona GMT is not the most desired watch in the world.
How much does a white gold GMT Meteorite Dial go for a secondary market? Do you know?
55.
55. Okay.
They were up in like when I bought this, it was in the 65.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you think the OP, because what is that, $20,000 premium around?
And think about the premium, right? So this watch, let's say, was like 31,000 or 32,000 or whatever, and that was 65. So even though the retail premium is only 2,000, the secondary premium on the dial was $30,000.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
$30,000 secondary, premium.
Wow.
Because of the rarity, because of how cool it is, how wild it is.
Wow.
So it's got nothing to do with the material of the dial.
Yeah,
it's $2,000.
Wow, interesting.
Interesting, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I think it would be a $50,000 OP. And I think that would fizzle away. I think the 50,000 would disintegrate into 35, but it would still be a $35,000. Hey, you know what? Good pick. That won't happen. I wish it did. That would be bananas.
That would be unreal. And that kind of expands into my OP point. They've done colors.
Yep.
They stripped some colors away. They still have some colors. I think the new thing will be textures.
Yeah.
Maybe not meteorite, but maybe like picture meteorite if it was black. I don't know what material they would use for that. I think that will be the next move.
Yes.
Because I don't really know what else they'll do besides the final point here, or the final 2 points. But I think that's what's coming up.
Well, I think
more low-key, maybe more natural-looking colors.
Yes, I agree. Pull back on the color a little bit and introduce texture in only the subtle colorways.
Yes.
And then 3 years from now, you can introduce the texture on the dramatic colorways.
Exactly.
So that's a longer term Rolex plan. Another question. If they're going to be increasing the quality of the OPs and making them more detailed, where does the price go? Is it for how much longer is the Oyster Perpetual a $6,000 watch?
That's very
I think
true.
that is an underpriced watch.
I was going to say, because even right now I'm surprised. I'm surprised always when I see Rolex retail prices.
Yeah.
But the OP especially, you're like, oh, wait a minute. That's not far off from this other brand I was considering. Obviously, I can't get it right now, but when does it go up?
And how about the size? And this is another interesting conversation. The size of the OPs. 41.
That's just very important to talk about at the end, so hold on to that.
No, let's talk about it now. I'm just kidding. You working out. Okay, you go.
That's very important. Okay, last thing before we get into what I read. Titanium. I said I feel like if anywhere it'll be used on the Explorer 2. But that leads into the bigger conversation at the end. Just because the Deep Sea came out and that utilized titanium. So I wondered if that was Rolex being like, hey, by the way, like this is coming down the pipeline.
I think that titanium is coming down the pipeline. I don't think it's anytime soon.
Interesting.
I think they teased it, and you will not hear anything about titanium for a long time.
That's kind of my, I don't want to say fear, because I'm not scared of anything. But
apart from spiders.
Apart from
dark.
spiders.
Are you watching The Last of Us?
No.
It's awesome.
Really?
Dude,
I need to watch
I'm not a zombie guy.
No.
You know, are you?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, I don't mind them.
No. Do you ever watch zombie before?
Yeah, of course.
Like what?
Night of the Living Dead.
Is it good?
Zombieland. Night of the Living Dead, I fell asleep during. It's very boring. But
Can
it's
you
like
text
the
me some
original
things
zombie.
that you recommend that I should watch?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, because I'm kind of into
Why are
zombies
you
right
getting so
now.
close to me? Can you text me some things that you think I should browse?
Dude, it's fucking weird.
I just need to return these DVDs.
Yeah, I'm creeped out at this whole Last of Us thing.
Really?
Yeah, I'm creeped out.
Really?
You know, okay, ready?
Yeah.
So look up Asian man becomes dog. Sorry, turn it off.
I can't.
Like when my dog would like come up to me in bed, I'd be like, "Yo, get the fuck away from me! Get the fuck away from me!" For a couple days, I was getting real.
It's when you pet Lincoln and then the helmet falls off.
Yeah.
And it's a guy.
Yeah, I was getting really.
He starts choking you.
really ornery for a little while. I was like really not having it. You know.
I hate that.
Anyway, The Last of Us, like it's face to face becomes problematic. That's how they kill you. You know, it's a fungus that grows from my mouth into yours. So Sal came over to like kiss me goodbye the other day. I was like, "Yo, back the fuck off,
you
me.
little fungus,
You
disgusting.
You're the fungus among us."
Okay, titanium. So you don't think it'll be introduced?
No, I think this is classic Rolex. I mean, we begged them for the Daytona for years, a Daytona revamp. Begged. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. They did the Daytona remodel. What, like, they made people wait like 6 years?
I mean,
more.
That's the thing. The
8 years.
The other titanium note was the Milgauss, because they haven't touched the Milgauss in like 17 years.
Yeah, but that was never titanium.
No.
Milgauss.
I'm just saying, like, what are you doing with the Milgauss?
Oh,
it doesn't
yeah.
even look like a Rolex anymore. It looks like a fake Rolex.
It does. Yeah, the Milgauss is definitely caught in the 2000s.
Which old.
And it's a cool watch. I dig the Milgauss. Like, I think the Milgauss is actually one of the coolest Rolexes. I think it is. I just think it's not met up with today's design language of the brand.
I look at the modern Milgauss and like the old Milgauss that actually had a clippable bezel, and I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you letting this thing die? It just looks like a fat, out of shape Rolex with just so many things missing from a modern anti-magnetic watch.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like someone forgot to remove it from the site.
Yeah, it does seem like the forgotten model. So that's, I've been saying, we've been doing Rolex predictions for 5 years, right?
Yeah.
And every year we say, what about the Milgauss? And nothing's happened.
Every year Rolex raises their middle finger and we say,
fuck you.
oh my god, they put the crown on the other side.
Yeah, right. So I don't think anything will happen again. I hope that it would. I think it should.
Yeah.
I don't think it will. If it does, the world will explode. Everyone will want a Milgauss.
Yes.
Everyone will want a Milgauss.
If the Milgauss looks like the old Milgauss,
No, it's nuts.
I would melt.
It would be insane.
I would shoot fungus out of my mouth.
Oh, God.
Okay, finally, Rolex's business model, if you think about it. You have the Sub, you have the Yachtmaster, you have the Sea Dweller. Sea Dweller is kind of different. You have the Daytona. They're all pretty modular, as in like, okay, I could see how this case is that case, is this case is that case. You added this, you removed that, so on and so forth,
Yep.
right? So what's interesting is that you could effectively see what the new modular piece is or what they're using. Like if you look at the Explorer, then you look at the OP, you're like, okay, the Explorer is essentially a different dial, right?
The Explorer's a different dial than an OP. Yep.
Essentially that.
Yep.
So what's interesting is if Rolex does something new in their models on the actual case of the watch, you could almost assume that could make its way down to the line, make its way down through the line, right?
Yes.
So the interesting thing is the Air King added crown guards. But besides that, and besides its size, it's essentially an OP, it's essentially an Explorer.
So you want to see crown guards on an OP?
I don't know. I don't want to see that, no. But it's interesting that they just toss that on a model that doesn't really get talked about.
Yeah.
It's almost like You know, when a company will just like leak information and see how people react,
Yep.
and then be like, "Oh, that was never happening anyways."
Yep.
If you think about the modularity thing that Rolex does,
Yep.
you think about the similar case shapes.
Yep.
You're like, okay, you're either trying something, or you could be trying something, or like you tooled the first mold, and now things are, which goes back to the OP conversation. Things are going to come out in 40 millimeters, and things are going to have crown guards.
That's interesting. So I don't think the OP will have crown guards.
I don't think so either. This is the bigger modularity itself.
I do think you're right. I think you're right that these models are fairly plug and play. Like they're the same watch with very small differences.
That's why you want every Rolex, because if you like the OP, you like the Explorer.
Yeah, you like the
Air King.
GMT. Yeah, it just keeps going. You know,
It's the same watch.
It's the same watch, exactly. What are the sizes available in the current Explorer right now? 40 millimeters. Wow.
Do you know what I'm saying? And it's probably nothing, but it is when you look at.
So then, what
brand,
is the prediction?
What is the prediction there? Explorer 1 would get a size increase and crown guards.
Wow.
Do I think it'll ever happen? No, because then that's the Explorer 2. There's a reason why they haven't added crown guards on the Explorer 1.
Right.
But it's also very weird that you didn't add crown guards on the Explorer 1.
It is, yeah, because the cases are different. Like the Explorer 2 is not the Explorer 1 plus crown guards.
No,
they
not
are
at all.
different.
Not at all.
You know,
if anything,
so,
that's a modification of like that's almost a sub, different size and everything.
Right.
But you have the crown guards.
Exactly. Yeah, the Explorer 2 is a different style sub.
Yes,
not
exactly.
an Explorer. You know.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I don't see. You know what? Maybe. How about this?
Mm-hmm.
Rewind pre-Air King. I would have thought it was more likely to get crown guards on an Explorer than I would have thought likely on an Air King.
Same.
But maybe they beta tested it with the Air King because no one would give a fuck anyway.
That's what I'm saying. And the
maybe
conversation people had online was like, okay, of all watches, why would you put that on the Air King? Because like if you think about what it's supposed to be used for, compare that to an Explorer.
Yeah,
the Explorer has crown guards.
Yeah, right.
So maybe it's the like no one's gonna care about the Air King. Like we don't really know what to do with it. It looks weird.
Yeah.
Let's try it. Let's see what people say.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know the answer. In the Oyster Perpetual line, they have 41 and 36.
Yep.
I think that the 41 is often too large.
Yes.
Particularly in the colorways.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's actually too much color. Not on everybody.
It's a big watch.
It's a big watch. The green is a more muted color, so it's not as crazy. Well, whatever. I mean, just my opinion, right?
Yeah, sure.
But 36, I can understand. They'll never change that, I don't think. But I can understand why that's too small for a lot of folks.
Exactly.
I'm surprised that Rolex has not introduced a concession size and said, okay, the watches are 39, which they have been in the past. It's interesting. I mean, it's interesting.
So that's where everything comes together, and you're like, okay, you added crown guards to this 40 millimeter watch that isn't that popular, that kind of looks like an Explorer, that kind of looks like an OP, but now less so.
Yeah.
Is that the first like tooling job that you did? Now everything's gonna start pumping out, or are you just still trying to figure out what you're doing with the Air King?
I think you're just. I think it's there's more logic to the madness, like you're saying. I think there is logic there. I do think that the Air King is just a model that they can just kind of use to test.
Exactly.
Because they don't really give a fuck.
It really does look like they're testing.
Yeah. It's a cool watch.
Let's test out a green hand. Let's test out like
green
the
print.
Let's just see how it goes.
Right. So and maybe that's like back to your point. Like there are a couple of things here with the green and with the Rolex. I think that was the first time that Rolex has ever been written in that color, plus with the gold crown. I think in history.
Yeah.
Which is bizarre. Are these things that we could see in the Daytona? Even that. Like, could we see a
interesting?
Could we see a just a regular black Daytona, a regular old Black Panda Daytona with green print, with green green hands rather? Like, I don't know. Like, again, it sounds so stupid because there are so many more interesting things going on at Rolex, like we're talking about. I mean, again, their data consolidation, their entire customer experience, remodel,
even
all
the fact
stuff.
that if the Air King is what we're saying it is, that's even more interesting than what most watch companies do. You have a test model that sells out anyways.
Exactly. It's interesting. I mean, I don't know, but the Milgauss should be changed. It should be. It needs to be updated. And the 41 OP, I think, should come down to 39, where it has been in the past. I think the 39 and 36 are good sizes.
Yep.
I think that having those two in the collection, I think are solid. They're pretty fucking close, and I get it. I get why that's, but all the clients that want a 41 millimeter OP, and you're going to lose them because it goes down to 39, which is a very small amount of people, just sell them a different Rolex. They're certainly not going to another company now.
Exactly.
Push them into the Air King.
Exactly.
Push them into something else. Rolex has ultimate control over these clients. So, the 39's too small on me. Cool. Buy this then.
Yeah, right.
What do you want?
Also, your allocated watch, you're going to skip out on?
Yeah,
that?
right.
No, you're not. You're absolutely not going to skip out.
Absolutely not. Yeah. So that's what I think.
That's Rolex.
Yeah, that's Rolex.
At the same time, what is Rolex?
I don't know.
Me neither.